Everybody come on in, come on in. Everybody come on in, tag your neighbor, tag your friend. Make sure that you share this video. Make sure that you heart this video. Make sure you send this video to everybody you can send it to. Send it to them in their inbox. Send it to them over here on somebody's business. Tag everybody that you can, because this interview and this information is important. If you have a son, particularly a black son, you need to be on this live. If you have a nephew, if you have a cousin, if he has a penis, you need to be on this live. If you live in the state of Alabama, you need to be on this live. Everybody come on in. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, LaShonda. Good morning, Candace. Good morning, the Nigel. I can't see who all on here. Tag your friend and tag your neighbor. Good morning, Carolina. Good morning, Tina and Yolanda. Good morning, everybody. Good morning over there on YouTube. Good morning, Facebook. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Good morning, Sierra and Yvette and Tracy and Roderica, Rosalind, Cheryl. Tag your people. Good morning, Tasha. Good morning, Savannah. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Jessica. It is so important that y'all are here. Good morning, Angel and Akeelia. Good morning, Warren. Good morning, Deanna. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and thank y'all so much for joining me this morning. I am here because the story that I have been posting about and that I've been telling y'all to please share, and take the time and read up on and read the affidavits and stuff that I posted. It has all led us to this moment. The story of Antonio Jerido is one that is not foreign to the American justice system, but he is the one that we're talking about and bringing awareness to today. So today I want to introduce you guys to my panel of guests, and that is Mackie of Mackie Outlaw, and also Mika, the director of the Georgia chapter of Ignite Justice. So I'm gonna start with you first, Mr. Mackie. So with this case, can you first of all tell us about how you even got involved in this?
So yeah, thank you for having me on this morning. We conduct investigations involving criminal defense cases, and we were contacted by Antonio and his family. I guess it was back. It was middle of last year. I don't know. It was fall of last year. It was before Thanksgiving last year, and we reviewed the case and started looking into it and found some serious discrepancies here. That's how we got involved with it. So.
Okay. So when you got the case and you got all the paperwork and the affidavits and the evidence in front of you, what was your approach to getting to the point where justice is going to be served?
So we got the case. First of all, when you get into these capital type cases, there's a mountain of paperwork you go through. So we started going through that, and we went through a lengthy interview and conversation with Antonio, and he told us what to look for in the beginning. There's several things. Nobody identified the actual assailant here as Antonio. There's really no identification. Everybody's like, we don't know who did it, but somebody did, right? We know there was a crime committed. We just didn't know who. And then there was a gunshot residue test performed on Antonio, and that wasn't never that those results are never been found. Antonio says that they were negative results, but they were never presented in court. Nobody can find them. The results of the gunshot residue, which is a big deal, right?
Right.
And then murder weapon. There's no murder weapon. The two. That's a big thing, and where this murder weapon originated from is a big thing too. Once we get into this, we'll talk about it. But where it came from and who had what before the actual crime took place. And then the big thing was the assistant district attorney, Lee Booth. She was the assistant DA there. She was going through some serious issues in her life, mental issues, physical issues, some things. And there's several affidavits out there from her colleagues and her peers saying that, hey, she wasn't competent to be trying cases at this time. But so Antonio's case has happened to fall in with this. And there's several others out there that are being, I don't know the details of them, but it looks like they are being looked into as well. Some other people that were convicted under her watch. So those are some of the overarching issues that's in this case. When you get into the details of each thing here, or do you want to ask more questions first?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Mika real quick. Mm-hmm. Mika, how did you guys get involved and hear about Antonio's case?
Antonio had reached out to me through a partner of mine that when I first moved to Georgia and I was doing his rallies. And when he submitted all the paperwork, as I started reading the paperwork, I had to stop Antonio, like, hold on, wait a minute. I didn't even really get deep into it, just the beginning of it. And then the affidavits he was sending me. I said, there's no way. I said, you're innocent. Like, this should have been overturned. And then when he told me that they arrested him and then they released him and locked him back up. Right. And locked him back up. And then as I kept reading more and more in depth with his case, I said, okay, they don't have no gunpowder residue, no shoe print coming back to you. Then he explained to me about the detective, whoever that took stand and was saying that he was the shooter. But then turned around and said the victim said he wasn't the shooter, and they described a totally different individual that's totally looked different and everything compared to the description of Antonio. And I told Antonio, you know what? He reached out to me on behalf of my organization as New Order, but I had, it's a process that you have to go through to get everything approved before we could take the case. But I felt like this is something that need immediate exposure, immediate attention, and it's time consuming because he have a hearing coming up on the 30th, and I told him I'm willing to go sit in on his hearing. So I said maybe I'll reach out to one other person that I, work with, and I did, a podcast with. Her name is Emily Shelton from Ignite Justice, and once I hit Emily up, it took off from there.
Okay. So. For Mr. Mackey, can you tell us like from I guess from the certain situation? So once they locked him up, as y'all was saying, they came and they locked him up. They questioned him, they locked him up, and then they re-released him. And when they locked him up, that's when they did I guess when they arrested him, that's when they did all the gunpowder tests and all that kind of stuff like that, right? And then they said that the gunpowder tests now it's missing and nobody can find it. So what exactly, Mr. Mackey, what exactly happened in this case to get the case, to get it to be to a point where didn't nobody give a damn? Like it's kind of like it was like, okay, just shuffle the paperwork and push the paperwork over there, lock them up and get it done and get it over with. Okay, next case. Like what how could something like this even happen?
So that's a good question. So
the affidavit is like 100 and some pages, Becca.
Mm-hmm. So in small towns across the United States, we work several of these cases a year where the it's small town department, county, whatever you want to call it. They may not have the resources that you would find in the larger cities. We've worked these kind of cases in, for instance, Birmingham, Alabama, or Huntsville, where they have the resources and they are worked. The cases are worked. They're pretty tight, I guess you'd call it. They have evidence. They get the right people. Crimes are committed. We still want people to go to jail. We just want the right people to go to jail, right?
Right.
We all agree with that. But in this situation, it's Elmore County, small county, and they don't see many murders there, right? And they had one here, and I think they're under a lot of pressure to get a conviction. And what they do is they go to the usual suspects. So we had a situation here where Mr. Jerido was he had some prior convictions when he was younger. Who doesn't, right? Who doesn't have some mistakes in their younger years? So they said, oh, we got a guy here who's got some drug involvement, so it had to be him, right? So they thought it was an easy way to get a case closed, and they put a guy that had a prior drug conviction in jail, which is not correct. It's not proper policing, and it's not proper investigative procedures. So that's how that happens.
Okay. So if someone shoots a gun 9 times, won't he have gunpowder residue everywhere? You answer that question, yes. Okay. Didn't the surviving victim state that the boy who shot him had long hair?
Right. The actual statement was he had plants in his head, which is like dreadlocks that have been cut short, or from my understanding, you're just growing. If you can't see, I've never had that issue of growing hair. So it's like short dreadlocks, if my understanding, and that's what they call plants. And Charles, the victim, said, yeah, the shooter had plants in his head, meaning the shooter had long hair. And he also went on to say that the shooter had his face covered. So there was no identity of our client being the shooter.
So how was Mr. Jerido's haircut at that time? How was his hair?
So he's always wore his hair very short, like a military style haircut, if that makes sense to you. I don't know, close cropped hair. It was not. He's always kept his hair pretty neat and trimmed.
Right.
I call it business professional, I guess you'd call it. So.
Okay. Let me see. Is it true that all proceedings in capital murder cases have to be recorded in case the people are sentenced to death so they can appeal?
I believe it is. It has to be recorded. Certain parts that the judge allows has to be, but there are certain part when evidence is presented in a capital case, it has to be that part of the trial has to be recorded. So,
let me ask you this, because
we can't find it anywhere. So,
okay. So let me ask you this. So Governor Kate Ivey, who is aware of this case, even though she said she forgot to, or she don't know what's going on. To what extent does Governor Kate Ivey hold any responsibility to this case?
Okay, now you're getting outside of my expertise a little bit, but I'll give you my best guess. How about that?
Okay.
That sound good? All right.
Okay.
So I turned my report over to the Attorney General. Okay, and then the Attorney General, if he or she feels necessary, they can give it to the governor. The governor holds the right to. They can do several things. They can say, "Hey, the person," they can exonerate them, or they can say, "Hey, this needs to be pushed back down to the court and a new trial granted." All right, which is what we're hoping for. Here's a new trial. But
okay, Mika, what is your stance on any the involvement? Because I seen documentation from where he wrote the governor, and the governor, she responded back, but now she seems to not want to take any responsibility for even knowing that this case ever even existed. So what is your stance on that?
Well, my stance on that, you're the governor, so you have the power over whether it's the district attorney, attorney general office, all that. You're the governor for that state. She should hold just as much as accountability as everybody else, because we did have a conference call with the Alabama Bar Associate the other day, and first he told Mr. Antonio's wife that there wasn't no complaints filed against Lee Booth since 2012. but then you told me 2014. So now I'm confused, like which date? And you can't say that y'all don't have anything in the system because I have the documentation where Antonio sent to me where y'all said that y'all received it in 21 and 22. So why isn't this recorded in your system? And because of new evidence, you're gonna have to put that 6 year time limit, statute of limitation time limit on that. So the Bar Association guy, Mr. I can't think his name, Mr. McPherson, McMullen, or something like that. Excuse me if I'm saying it wrong, but he was like, well, I'm going to have to look into it. I said, well, is there any way that once you look into it, you could contact me and let me know the status of it? Or you can't explain to me, you have to talk to the wife. And I said, can I get your information? Well, I'll just speak to the wife. I said, don't even worry about it. I have your information. So if I have any more questions, I'll contact you myself and see what's going on. But if you add it all together, it's like they all working with each other because there's no way in the world you don't have it in the system, but y'all sent the man a letter saying that y'all
Right.
received it. So why isn't it recorded in your system, documented in your system? It's legal documents. All legal documents is supposed to be documented and recorded.
Right. So speaking of Lee Booth, with Lee Booth, who was the district attorney at the time in Elmore County, Alabama, she started having like a whole lot of different problems going on with her that made her incompetent to be able to do her job. Can you expound on some of the things that she was personally going through? Because I know they ain't read 160 some pages worth of, documentation. So can you expound on some of the things that she was going through that made her incompetent and questionable to do her job?
According to what the paperwork that I was seeing, that made her incompetent because first and foremost, her peers was already saying she was lacking in her job performance because since she had her brain surgery, but it could have been personal issues prior to that. It was stated that she was bringing her son to work, hiding him under the desk. They said she even took one of her kids to court. I guess it was Antonio's trial, and she kept getting distracted by the children. Um, Another thing that raised the red flag also was you had a husband that was a police officer that's not even in that jurisdiction helping you investigate this case. This is not even his case. This is your case, and whoever is supposed to be within that municipality. You had your husband doing cases with you, investigating cases with you, and y'all two was working together, prosecuting not only Mr. Antonio, but it probably was a couple other people. So that raised a red flag for me. If you're not in this jurisdiction, why are you helping your wife? And they said she was taking people discovery home.
For people that don't know what a discovery is, what is a discovery?
The discovery is discovery could mean a lot of things. Like it could be like, the whole case, evidence that were used in the case and stuff like that. Like that stuff that's supposed to be inside the office. That's not supposed to be taken outside the office. Because who ain't to say when you took his discovery home, you could have altered anything. Don't nobody know that. You could have altered anything and make it seem like this man was guilty, and he really wasn't. And even her own parents is backing it up, saying that she was incompetent.
Mr. Mackey, what red flags, what are some things that you saw that would have made you been like,
Right. So there are affidavits in the state system that are recorded from one of her peers, Christy Peoples. She's still an assistant district attorney. Now this was in July of 2014, and she describes where she took sworn statements and don't remember doing it, those kind of things. And even one of the investigators had some concerns about her handling capital cases during this time as well. And then we actually have the actual district attorney at the time, where he talks about where she was distracted at work, had her children there sleeping in her office and those kind of things. Now back to the issue of discovery. Discovery, all that is where one side turns over evidence to the other side, where opposition, but it is evidence. Now we're not talking about evidence in where somebody stole $100 from the cash register. All right. This is evidence in a capital murder trial where people lost their lives, and she's putting evidence in her car, taking it home, presumably to let her husband look at it, because we got evidence that he was on the crime scenes with her. He's from a whole other county. So is this I mean, I haven't they won't turn over evidence to us right now to look at. Like, they're not inviting me down to their crime lab to say, hey, here's the Jerido case. Here's all the evidence. Take a look at it and see if it's been tampered with. I haven't been invited to do that yet. It may be coming soon. But I don't think they want us to look at it. But who knows if the evidence has been tampered with, if something else was mixed in there with it. If any of that has happened, then you can't take the case to trial if that's happened. So that's just my experience over a few years of doing this. And I wish we could get a lawyer on here with us as well to talk to us about, when it's not, it has no dog in the fight, so to speak, that they could explain some of this stuff to us better. But that's just my understanding of it. So.
Okay. Did the state turn over the phone calls that implicated someone else as the assailant?
It's not in the record.
No.
Is it true that no one in the district attorney office can say all the evidence in the Jerido case was turned over to his lawyer before trial?
We think there is some exculpatory evidence that was withheld, but nobody's going to admit to it right now. So.
Okay. Somebody named Emily. Okay, I see what you said, Emily. Let me see. Okay. Well, I guess that did the victim Daryl Benson ever state before trial that Jerido shot him to any police officer? No, right?
No.
Oh my God. Okay, so in order to arrest him, the way that they arrested him, the way that they came and picked him up, and then they let him go, and then they came back and they picked him up again. How did that whole process work? Like, how were they able to pull that off once they say, okay, no, you haven't done this. We have no evidence that you did it, and then they take you home. And so how can they do that? What was the point? Like, how could they say, no, you can go, and then they go back and pick him up? Like, legally, can they do that legally? Like, legally, can you do that?
Yeah, if evidence is presented.
If they can look at the evidence, but according to what Antonio told me, like when they arrested him, the detective or whoever, the detective officer trying to say that the victim said it was Antonio. So I guess they probably used that as a probable cause to go back and rearrest him. Because at the time I think the victim was in surgery or something, and then I don't know. It's so many loopholes in this case that's not adding up.
One of the victims died pretty recently following the gunshot wounds, and then one died later in life from other not related to that, like a natural cause type thing. Now they got a probable cause warrant based off of a statement by a guy named Keon Butler. Now he's in jail up in St. Clair County for something else, a whole other thing right now. But Keon, we can't get any information out of Keon. There's no record about any deals he made with this case. But Keon, we believe, was maybe I don't know if he was a informant or what he was. All right, but anyway, Keon made a statement. That's what they went off the probable cause to get Antonio arrested. I'm sorry.
But you can't find any statements that he made.
No.
So it's like
it's supposed to be public record. If it's supposed to be public record, it's not. I can't find it. So.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Keon, I've asked to talk to Keon several times, and of course, Keon won't talk to me. So. But.
Wow. So were they supposed to who should have been responsible for turning Lee Booth over, and who should have been responsible for ejecting her from her position when she could no longer perform it?
So the first question was who's responsible for turning over evidence. So the either side, the defense or the district attorney's office, if they have evidence, they got to let the other side look at it. So it would have been the district attorney's office responsible for that, and the judge is the referee here. So the judge is the one that says, "Hey, you got to turn this over, or else," kind of thing. So that the judge is overall responsible. So.
Okay, but when Lee Booth was going, when they knew that Lee was incompetent and her co-workers and everybody was complaining about her, whose responsibility was it to investigate her and do what was necessary depending on her mental health?
A bit the district attorney.
Yeah.
She's the assistant, her boss. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And is that the Randall guy?
Mm-hmm. Randall Houston.
Randall Hughes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Okay, because I got a question from the family. Did Kay Ivan supposed to make did okay to you, Mika? Did Kay Ivan supposed to make District Attorney C.J. Robinson a higher DA after she was provided with evidence from you and Jerido that he had intentionally not turned Lee Booth into authorities?
I don't believe she should have. I don't believe she should have made him a higher district attorney. No.
Because he was what was his because what was his role in this? CJ.
I just got little. Obviously, I'm still new to the case, so I just got little bits and pieces that I'm still reading and following up on. And Antonio, giving me information here and there when he can, he's available to give me the information. But far as my standing with it, I have reached out to the like I said, the Alabama Bar Associate and spoke to the guy over there.
What do you know about C.J. Robinson, Mr. Mackey?
I don't know anything about C.J. Robinson. Who is that? Who would say it is?
That's somebody who she put in office after she had evidence that he had intentionally not turned Lee Booth into authorities. Let me ask you. So, what is the importance of this of getting this out and exposing what all is happening in this case? What's the importance of it that you think?
The importance of it is it just shows a lot of corruption. And this is how this is not just Alabama, but this is the system all around, straight corruption. You don't know who to trust because they all work hand in hand. Even some of the attorneys are scared to fight against some of these higher government officials. And the importance is getting this story told because who know how many other cases that this lady been on. Has she been taking their discovery home? Because this exposure and the media needs to get involved because this will open a whole can of worms because not only Antonio Jerido, but do you know how many cases would be overturned because of this lady working on their cases and she was incompetent?
When did she get when did she get brain surgery done? Do you know?
I'm not sure. When Antonio reached out to me, he told me that Antonio is a good researcher from my conversation. He's very good with researching. And when he told it to me, and I said, wow, if you had brain surgery, you should have been either just homebound or something. You should never even went back into the work because you knew anytime you get surgery on your brain, it's not 100% sure that you're going to be,
back how you were.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What's the importance of this case getting the exposure, you think, Mr. Mackey?
Well, number one, I'm here for Antonio Jerido, so getting him out of jail is my number one priority. Now, like she said, if this happened to Antonio, then they got to go back and review several during that time frame. So, are they all innocent? No, but there's probably one or two in there that are sitting in prison that got framed because of the incompetence of this system here and they're just sitting in jail and maybe they don't have a way to fight or their financial means to. So that the state needs to review any case that was tried under this woman and take another look at it, So, and this is just one of them.
What would you like people to know specifically about this case, Mr. Mackey, that you feel like the public needs? What are the main points you feel like need to be made about this case that the public needs to know about?
Well, number one, I think if I was on a jury today and I was watching this trial, there's no way we could convict Antonio. Now, that's with the evidence that's being presented that we've found now. Now, with the evidence that they presented to us back when this happened, who knows? I don't know what exactly the jury looked at. But if they would have seen the stuff that we're looking at today, there's no way they could have. I don't think it could have went to trial. They'd have had to have more evidence for it to go to trial, which
For real.
there was no more. So my thing is I hope that the state will take a look at some of these cases and do a better job of a review of who's the assistant district attorneys, the district attorneys, and take a better look at, have better oversight on these folks before they just let them try case after case. We call it a case mill, where they're just getting cases and closing them to make their numbers look good. So I just hope they take a closer look at that and hopefully get some reform at the county level. So,
okay. Same question for you, Mika. What are the important things you want everybody to take from this case?
I just want for people to take from this case is, you know, that this is an eye opener for just anybody that's being wrongfully convicted. No, I'm not saying a lot of people are innocent. There are some people that's wrongfully incarcerated. The case need to be reviewed very carefully, and they need to decide on who they put as the district attorneys or anybody in these, you know, offices when they're reviewing this case. And I truly feel like, because of the evidence that we have, I don't know what they have, but what we have in our possession, the man is innocent. And they need to reopen this case. To me, to be honest, the case is a case that's going, I have a feeling it's going to be overturned.
It's an open and shut case.
Right, open and shut.
So, okay. So anything else that you got? Any questions in the audience? Anything anybody in the audience want to ask or needs to know? Any questions that you guys want to ask while I have both of them here? Okay, so isn't it true that a district attorney named Mandy Johnson stated in her affidavits that Booth made her indict a girl without probable cause just because her husband was the arresting officer, and it came out later and they had to dismiss her case?
Antonio was telling me about it.
I'm not familiar with that one. So.
But I'm not really familiar. He was saying about a couple cases. He was going over a couple cases that she done did. About this same Lee Booth lady.
I just put examples of 2 in the report, but there's about 30 affidavits out there from lawyers talking about her incompetence. So,
wow. Anything else that you guys want to say about this case? Anything you could think of? Anything that you feel that is important that the public needs to know? Guys, please share this video. I really need y'all to share this video and help spread the word and get this out, because like I said, it could be it's Antonio today, and it could be your son or your nephew or your cousin or your brother tomorrow. This kind of stuff needs to get be out and be told, because this type of stuff that be going on that people need to know about, because any of us could be get in this type of situation where things just get swept under the rug and we just get shuffled around. So is there anything else that anybody wants to say? Any questions need to be asked? Anything that you want to say, Mr. Mackey? Anything you want to say, Miss Mika? Any closing remarks?
Jessica Jones says she has a question.
Jessica. What's your question, Jessica? I love Jessica, because Jessica always gonna ask a question. What Jessica gonna ask? She typing. What's the question, Jessica? And good morning, everybody. Please make sure, and thank you for everybody that is sharing the video and that has shared the video. Please share the video. What was the makeup of the jury in his case?
I don't have an answer for you.
Yeah, I don't even know about that.
I didn't research the jury.
The jury.
Yeah.
Okay. Emily said, I think this Emily from Ignite Justice. She said, right to the governor request Antonio case gets investigated.
Yeah, I've already done that, and I think
do like a lot of people need to do that.
Yeah, you could. I mean,
Yeah,
anybody.
I think they need to slump that governor with letters
Okay.
regarding Antonio case.
So when I get off here, Miko, make sure you text me the information so I can post it, so we can start calling and getting on their nerves and write in. Because we good with that. We got somebody fired after 20 years of their job. They want to do what they on women. We got them fired. So anything else? Anything and when I put this up here, y'all, when I put this information up here, I need y'all to write, to call, to email, whatever it is, the information that I put up here that we have to do, because this is not just an Antonio and his family issue. It's not. This is not just a Black issue or a white issue or a Latino issue. This is somebody that, if you get with somebody that don't do their job or incompetent of doing their job, this could very well happen to one of your people. So make sure that you guys do what it is that's necessary, because like I said, it's him today, but it could be one of y'all tomorrow. Anything else anybody want to say? Mika, anything else you got to say?
No, I just want to say, we all need to stick together, because, like you said, it could be anybody. It could be me. It could be, and they don't care if you're a male or female. It could be any one of us today, tomorrow, the next day. I got sons, but at the end of the day, according to the paperwork I see, Antonio is innocent, and we're going to continue to fight for Antonio until they free him.
Okay. Somebody asked the question: did Antonio State approve where he was during this murder?
He stated it, but also in our last podcast that I had, somebody had commented that at the time of the murder he was at his sister's house in bed asleep. So yes, it was stated in one of our last podcasts.
I don't have the exact name, but one of his relatives was there. There's a trailer, so was there with him, and they never talked to that person to confirm or anything. So confirm his alibi.
Mm-hmm. Tino Holmes wants to know, why hasn't none of her coworkers been sanctioned for not turning her over to the Alabama State Bar?
So all the affidavits I got came off the State Bar website. So they have. It's just nobody did anything about it.
Nobody did anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't care.
Yeah, they didn't care.
That's what there was. Nobody cared. So I just want to say thank y'all for coming on here. If there's no more questions, just thank y'all for coming on here. Thank y'all for being informative. Thank y'all for letting us know what was going on. I'm really an advocate for women mostly, but I'm also an advocate for right. And so it didn't matter whether this was a man or a woman. I just wanted to be stand in the gap for Antonio and use my platform to get his message out to as many people that I could get it out to, because he is important. Thank you, Mr. Mackey, for your time. And Mr. Mackey, you made me rearrange my whole schedule for you.
Sorry.
It's no problem, because this is important. It was important. Yeah. Thank you, Mika, so much, because Mika been like, when? Send me the link. What I need to do? What I need? I'm here, Key. What you need me to do? Thank you so much, Mika. Thank you so much. And Mika, I got some people that I got to send your way. Mr. Mackey, I got some people I need to send your way. But just thank y'all for coming on here and informing us and helping me scream out loud like this ain't right, and somebody needs to hear this, and something needs to happen about it. And to the family, thank y'all for even y'all know I'm really, really crazy. Rena said, do her husband still have his job? Is he still a police officer?
What's the question?
Does Lee Booth's husband still have her job? His job?
She's in private practice. I don't know what her husband does now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So to the family, thank you so much for trusting somebody's business to be a part of getting this story out. To anybody else, if they would like to be a part or have Mr. Mackey or Mika on their podcast to talk about Jerido's. It's Jerido. I be calling them. What I be calling?
I'll say Jerido. I hope
Okay,
I'm saying it right.
To Antonio's story, y'all can contact me over here at somebody's business, and I would direct y'all directly to them. But thank y'all again, and like I always say to everybody, thank you for so much for watching, and I love everybody that love me. Y'all know everybody that with me, and until then, I will see y'all later. Now, bye.